Unlocking the powerful prayer of Psalm 91, break free from unseen bonds. I never expected a single dream to change everything. It started like any other night, dark and heavy with silence. But then came the light. A brilliant, blinding white burst appeared, so intense I could almost feel it pressing against my skin. In that moment, I knew something beyond ordinary was at work. A glimpse of the divine, perhaps? I woke up gasping, heart racing. What did it mean? I stared at the ceiling, thoughts spiraling, questions flooding in. There I was, caught in the web of daily life bills piling up, a job that felt like quicksand. The pressure was suffocating, pulling me into an abyss of doubt. My spirit felt trapped, as if unseen bonds were wrapping around me, squeezing tighter with every passing day. I sought solace in many things, yet nothing seemed to reach the depths of unrest in my soul. In my search, I often walked outside, letting nature's whispers guide me. The rustling leaves sounded like muffled voices, speaking secrets known only to a few. One evening, I watched the sunset bleed colors into the evening sky, vivid oranges and deep purples painting a scene so surreal it felt like an unearthly invitation. Was the universe trying to tell me something? I closed my eyes, trying to meditate, to listen. I could feel the cold air on my skin, and the distant sound of chirping crickets filled the silence that wrapped around me. A warm energy began to swirl in my chest. Was it hope? Or just a mirage of my desperate mind? I had questions, too many, hanging in the air like the last pieces of a puzzle unsolved. Then came the signs. A feather floated down at my feet, pure white against the dirt, a whisper from another realm. A black cat crossed my path minutes before I received the call that would shatter my reality. Each event tinged with mystery, with an energy I couldn't explain. What were these omens guiding me toward? An empty road stretched ahead, filled with possibilities yet marred by shadows of uncertainty. I felt on the edge, teetering between the known and the unknown, itching to break free from the chains of fear. My heart raced with anticipation. What awaited me beyond this veil? A vision flashed before me, clearer than anything I had ever seen. Flickering words floated like smoke, Psalm 91. The scripture echoed in my mind, rich with promise. Could it hold the key to my liberation? Questions tumbled through my heart, each one heavier than the last. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The dawn broke softly, casting a gentle glow across the world around me. The remnants of my vivid dream still lingered like the last echoes of an ancient melody. I rose, compelled by an urgency I couldn't yet comprehend, a call to action that pulsed through the very fibers of my being. I decided to delve deeper into Psalm 91, those words that fluttered through my mind like fragile wings. As I opened my worn Bible, the pages rustled softly, as if they were whispering secrets only the heart could decipher. I read through the passages, hoping to find something transformative, a spark to light the way through my confusion. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The promise of safety and refuge resonated throughout the verses, but what was this secret place? Could it be a state of mind? A deeper relationship with the divine? I hungered to know. Days unfolded with renewed fervor as I began to weave these prayers into my daily ritual. Each uttered syllable felt like breaking through the unseen bonds shackling my spirit. I walked in nature more often, feeling the earth beneath my feet and the sun caressing my skin like a healing balm. The air was alive with possibilities, and I felt a subtle shift stirring in the depths of my soul. One evening, I decided to visit a local sanctuary nestled deep in a grove of ancient trees. The sanctuary, overgrown yet beautiful, was a place many spoke of as sacred. Its very essence felt like a continuation of my meditative quests, a bridge to the divine. I stepped inside, and the atmosphere resonated with calm and clarity, instantly arresting my swirling thoughts. A tapestry adorned one wall, depicting various religious figures holding their hands upward in a universal gesture of surrender. I approached it, entranced, feeling as though they were reaching out to me. I closed my eyes and inhaled deeply, inviting the stillness to envelop me. It was here, in this hallowed space, that I sought answers to the questions woven throughout my being. Suddenly, a hum began to fill the room. It grew louder, resonating in my chest, permeating through the silence. Opening my eyes, I saw an elderly woman sitting cross-legged in the corner. Her eyes sparkled with wisdom that transcended time. She smiled warmly, the lines of her face telling stories of trials survived, love embraced, and faith unwavering. "You seek knowledge," she said, her voice a gentle breeze. "But have you considered that some mysteries are meant to unfold in their own time?" I was struck by her words, a simplicity that carried layers of truth. "Yes, but I feel so lost. I can't simply wait, I need to know." Sometimes the questions themselves guide us. Listen to your heart, and the path will reveal itself. Nature speaks, but do you hear it? She gestured to the open windows, where birds were gathering on the sill. As I watched them flutter with purpose, I felt a soft pull, as if the universe were indeed casting threads of connection between everything. What did they see? What wisdom did they possess that I had yet to discover? The questions accumulated again, like stars appearing in a night sky. After leaving the sanctuary, I walked home under the moonlight, feeling the echo of that encounter resonate within me. That elderly woman embodied a truth I had not yet grasped, a reminder that guidance often comes in forms we least expect. The mystery of my journey remained enigmatic, but there was something exhilarating about it, an invitation to trust the unfolding process. That night, nestled in the warmth of my bed, I gazed out at the stars that twinkled in the vast darkness. They are ancient, I thought, much older than my transient worries. Would they continue shining even if unobserved? What unseen patterns were they a part of, just as my life was interwoven into a grander design? And so, with curiosity burning in my heart, I drifted into sleep, pondering the path ahead. What further revelations awaited me? What signs would surface next, beckoning me towards understanding? The questions lingered like distant stars, glimmering, beautiful, and still resolutely out of reach. The days turned into a tapestry of moments, each thread woven with intention. As I continued to embrace the light of Psalm 91, my life began to morph in subtle yet profound ways. The world outside my window became a canvas of sacred geometry, revealing signs whispered in the rustling leaves and painted skies. One afternoon, driven by an impulse I couldn't name, I ventured to the river that wound through the heart of my town. It was a place I had once overlooked, yet now it beckoned me like a siren of clarity. With each step, I felt the gentle pull of the water, a reminder of life's constant ebb and flow. I found a smooth stone by the riverbank, picked it up, and turned it over in my palm, feeling the coolness against my skin. Perhaps this was a talisman of sorts, a reminder of my own solidity amidst the swirling currents of existence. As I sat beside the river, I closed my eyes again, allowing the sounds of the world to blend into a harmonic prayer. The splashing water harmonized with the distant calls of birds and the rustling of branches, creating a melody that resonated deep within my being. In this moment of stillness, I felt as if I were being cradled by something far greater than myself, a nurturing force that transcended time and space. Upon opening my eyes, I noticed a flash of movement in my periphery. A heron stood gracefully atop the riverbank, its stoic form seemingly embodying patience and serenity. I marveled at its stillness, how it focused on the water below, waiting with an unshakable conviction. It was a perfect embodiment of trust, of knowing that the fish would come if it simply persevered in the moment. "What does it mean to you?" a voice interrupted my reverie. I turned to find a young woman seated parallel to me, her feet playfully skimming the water's edge. There was an openness about her, an invitation to converse without pretense. "I think, It's about patience, I replied, still entranced by the heron. The idea that sometimes, we must simply wait for what we seek to reveal itself. You're right, she smiled, her eyes bright with understanding. But it goes further. Have you considered that waiting is an act of trust? The heron doesn't sit idly, it prepares itself mentally, attuning to its environment. It doesn't prematurely leap, it knows the value of being receptive. Her words resonated with a newfound clarity. Trust, it's so essential. I've been wrestling with so many uncertainties. Perhaps it's these uncertainties that guide you, she suggested gently. Maybe in this very moment, if you listen closely, you can decipher the language of what feels elusive. As I contemplated her words, the river rippled and shimmered, reflecting both the sunlight and the clouds overhead. It felt as though the water was inviting me to release my burdens, to let go of the need for swift answers. I closed my eyes once more, allowing the flow of the river to dance within me, whispering ancient secrets of surrender and acceptance. When I opened my eyes again, the heron was gone, its departure mirroring the fleeting nature of thoughts and worries. A profound silence enveloped me, I sensed the sacred stillness deepening within my heart. Thank you, I whispered to the woman beside me, realizing our brief exchange had ignited a flicker of understanding hidden away, waiting for acknowledgement. As we diverged on our separate paths, I felt as if I was carrying more than just the weight of questions. I was now cradling the seeds of insight that would slowly take root within me. Returning home that evening, I found solace in my familiar surroundings, the scent of incense lingering, books stacked in harmonious chaos, and soft candlelight flickering shadows against the walls. I settled into my favorite chair with a journal in hand, reflecting on the day that had passed. What does it mean to surrender? I pondered, letting the question resonate. Is it simply a letting go, or is it also an embracing of the unknown? How many moments of vulnerability, like that of the heron, do I bypass in the rush to seek control? As the moonlight filled the room, illuminating fragments of my thoughts, a new seed of curiosity unfurled in my heart. What would it look like to truly embrace the uncertainty, to trust the unfolding of my spiritual journey? What other signs awaited to guide me deeper into the mystery? These reflections lingered in the silence, untouched by complete answers yet filled with an exhilarating promise of discovery. And as I closed my journal, I wondered, what rituals of patience and trust might I cultivate tomorrow, and how might they open further doorways to understanding? As dawn's soft hues kissed the horizon, an inexplicable energy filled the air, stirring something deep within me. The air felt electric with potential, like the moment before a storm when everything is charged and alive. I felt drawn back to the river, as though it were pulling me on silent strings, inspiring curiosity that compelled me to answer its call once more. Arriving at the river's edge, the sunlight glittered across the surface like a million tiny stars igniting in midday brilliance. The water coursed with urgency, yet it felt serene, an eternal dance of motion and tranquility. Today, however, there was something more palpable, a sense of expectancy that made my heart race with anticipation. As I stood absorbed in my surroundings, I noticed a small gathering of stones, bounded together by a delicate weave of roots from a nearby tree. Each stone held distinct shapes and colors, their surfaces worn smooth by time and water. Here lay my new task, an invitation to connect, to ground myself in this moment. Carefully, I picked up a round stone, cradling it in my palm, allowing its presence to sweep through my thoughts like a grounding blanket. Do you feel it? A voice broke through the quietude, startling me. I turned to see an older man, seated cross-legged on a nearby log. His gray hair danced in the breeze, his deep-set eyes gleaming with wisdom. Feel what? I asked, curiosity racing through me. The pulse of the earth, the whispers of the river. He gestured toward the flowing water. These stones have listened for eons. They carry secrets of the universe within their simplicity. Intrigued, I placed my stone gently down beside me, attuning to the presence of this stranger and his words. What do you mean by that? I asked gently, genuinely wanting to delve deeper. Every element of nature speaks in profound ways, teaching us patience, resilience, and humility, he replied. Just as you felt the heron embodying stillness, the stones hold stories of endurance. In their silence, they remind us that strength often dwells beneath the surface. Ask yourself, what stories lie dormant within you, waiting to be discovered? His question struck at the very heart of my reflections from yesterday. In the pursuit of answers, how often had I ignored the wisdom nestled within my own experiences, the turbulent storms and serene calms that shaped my journey? Tell me, I implored, how do I unlock these stories? He smiled knowingly. You already possess the key. It lies in your capacity to connect through the stillness of meditation, through expressing gratitude, or by simply allowing your spirit to wander in curiosity. Sometimes answers find us in the quietude, not in busyness. Stay open to what the universe sends your way. Inspired, I closed my eyes, letting the sounds of nature seep into my consciousness like a warm embrace. As I delved deeper, I began to envision my own stories, fragments shimmering like stars waiting to be acknowledged. Visions of past trials unfurled before me, a tapestry of experiences interwoven with lessons of strength, compassion, and rebirth. I became aware of a sudden gust of wind, seemingly carrying with it a message from afar. Embracing it, I resonated with the idea that life constantly shapes us, molding our essence like those river-rounded stones. Each experience, each trial, crafted a new layer of wisdom within me, enriching my spiritual journey. When I finally opened my eyes, the man was still there, his presence as grounding as the stones surrounding us. Do you feel a shift? He asked. Yes, I admitted, even as uncertainty stirred. But how do I ensure that I honor these stories? How do I turn them into something meaningful? He leaned closer, his voice now a whisper, yet invigorating. That is the sacred quest. Every day, cultivate rituals that invite reflection. Engage with the elements around you. Speak your truth. Dance with your fears and embrace your joy. Let your journey weave into your prayers. The wisdom resonated, awakening a sense of purpose within me. I was beginning to grasp the significance of these encounters, the celestial connections unfolding like a flower reaching for the sun. As the sun climbed higher, illuminating the landscape around me, I realized how vast the river of life was, flowing with opportunities for deeper understanding and spiritual growth. I will carry these stories with me, I vowed, feeling the weight of that promise. But what happens when the stories are burdened with pain? Are they still sacred? This question hung suspended in the air, a mist of possibility, reflecting my own evolution. I marveled at the uncertainty that lay in wait, the adventures yet to unfold, decisions still to be made. With new resolve, I stood and looked out across the river, feeling a flicker of hope. What stories wait beneath the surface, urging me to explore them? What rituals of expression might I embrace? And ultimately, how might I allow the flow of life to guide me toward deeper revelations? As I departed the riverbank, I understood that the journey was only deepening, revealing realms of inquiry that would weave the fabric of my spirit anew. As I walked away from the riverbank, the rhythm of the water still resonating in my soul, an unforeseen path began to unfold before me. The whispers of the older man lingered in my mind, weaving through my thoughts like currents of the river itself, guiding me toward nebulous realms of self-discovery. While the sun kissed my skin with warmth, I found myself drawn toward a grove of ancient trees standing sentinel nearby. Each gnarled trunk and spread of branches seemed to tell its own story, a testament to resilience and survival. Stepping into the grove, I felt the air shift. It was laden with the fragrances of earth and foliage, each breath filled with the very essence of life. Bathed in dappled sunlight, I marveled at the play of shadow and light. In this sacred space, stillness settled around me, inviting me to pause and reflect. I approached the largest tree, its bark knotted and twisted, and placed my hand upon its ancient surface. Closing my eyes, I absorbed the energy radiating from this living monument. In that moment, I felt its pulse, a slow, steady heartbeat that intertwined with my own. Visions enveloped me, echoes of the past, ancestors whispering through the roots that delved into the earth. Each story, each ancestor, resonated with a theme of journey, struggle, and transcendence. Who are you seeking? A soft voice curled around me, like the gentle caress of the wind. I turned to see a woman seated gracefully upon a sun-drenched boulder, her hair adorned with strands of ivy and small flowers. Her presence was both tranquil and ever so familiar, as if I were staring into a mirror reflecting back a version of myself I had yet to uncover. I am not sure, I replied, the vulnerability of my quest laid bare. I seek understanding and a way to honor my stories. But there is so much pain I carry with me. Her eyes softened, and she gestured for me to sit beside her. To unlock the stories of your heart, you must embrace all of its joy, the sorrow, the fear, and the love. It is within the duality of human experience that true meaning breathes. That I feel this heaviness. How do I transform it into something life-affirming? I asked, the weight of countless memories hanging heavily around us. Right, she instructed, her voice firm and melodic. Make your pain a prayer. Let it flow from your heart through your hands. Words hold power, and in their weaving, you will find clarity. The act of expression cleanses the heart and opens doors to healing. Her insights reverberated within my core, igniting a spark of understanding. I had kept my stories confined, shrouded in silence, instead of allowing them to reach for the light. Suddenly, I envisioned a future where my trials would not chain me, but serve as the fertile ground from which hope could blossom. But what if my words are not enough? I whispered in response, a mixture of fear and hope washing over me. Trust the process, she replied gently. The universe has endowed you with a unique voice, a gift to share. Your journey is a reflection of collective experience, a thread in the grand tapestry of life. Your truth, however imperfect, has the power to resonate with others. Sitting back, I contemplated her words, feeling the urge to capture the essence of this conversation. I ached to write, to transform the silence into a narrative that would carry my pain and joy alike. I envisioned gathering my experiences like petals from a flower, piecing them together to create something beautiful amidst the chaos. That I was startled from my reverie as she placed a small notebook in my hands, a gift from the grove itself, perhaps. Let this be your sanctuary, your vessel of expression, she said encouragingly. Whenever you feel the call, return to this place and write. Here, the sacred and the mundane converge. With gratitude swelling in my heart, I held the notebook close. But an unraveling thought lingered. Would it truly be enough? What if my words, no matter how sincere, fell short of capturing the depth of my experiences? The moment hung like the branches swaying gently above us, filled with uncertainty and possibility. Would sharing my journey serve merely to soothe my own wounds, or could it touch others trapped in their own silences? As the sun began to dip behind the treetops, casting long shadows across the grove, I felt a surge of determination rising within me, blended beautifully with the threads of doubt. The realization washed over me. His journey was about uncovering the layers of my being, weaving together the experiences that shaped me into who I was, and so, as I made my way out of the grove and toward home, I resolved to honor my stories, to pen them with authenticity and courage. The river, the trees, the encounters, they all beckon me to embark upon this new chapter, to embrace expansive spiritual inquiries that still awaited exploration. As I walked, the sky transformed into a canvas of brilliant colors, a breathtaking reminder of transition and rebirth. In the midst of that beauty, one question emerged, igniting my curiosity and the spirit of my journey. What if every word I write becomes a bridge, connecting myself to others, and guiding us all toward the light of understanding? The cool evening air enveloped me as I left the grove, the shadows lengthening with the sun's retreat. In my hand, I held the notebook close, a promise and a challenge that now coursed through my veins like electricity. Each step felt intentional, my heart beating in rhythm with the whispers of nature, where every rustle of leaves seemed to echo a call to uncover deeper meanings hidden within the contours of life. As I walked down familiar paths, the world around me began to shift subtly. The sun set in a blaze of crimson and gold, but it was not merely a spectacle. It felt as if the sky itself conspired to illuminate my innermost thoughts. Questions swirled within, accompanied by the pulsing energy from the grove. How do I embrace the complexities of my experience? How do I transform the pain into a powerful narrative? The weight of these reflections drew me to a larger clearing ahead, where an old stone circle nestled quietly among the encroaching darkness. I had passed it numerous times but had never paused to explore its depths. Something about its presence beckoned me now, a holistic urgency that demanded acknowledgement. As I stepped within the circle, I felt the atmosphere pulse differently, as if time stood still, and all around me, the air thickened with anticipation. In the center, a single stone altar rose before me, adorned with moss and small offerings left by those seeking connection with the unseen. I kneeled, placing the notebook gently on the weathered surface, a tribute to my journey and my fears. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, a man cloaked in robes that flickered like the twilight. His eyes gleamed with ancient wisdom, and as he stepped closer, I felt a sense of recognition, as if he had once walked alongside my ancestors. "How incredible," he said, his voice resonating like sacred chants. "You've traveled far, yet the journey has only just begun." "That I don't understand," I replied, my heart racing. "What must I do here? I feel like I'm merely fumbling through thoughts, seeking meaning." That he nodded, understanding flooding his gaze. "Life's most profound lessons often come cloaked in vulnerability. The notebook you hold is a portal, just as this circle serves as a sacred space. Share with me what stirs within your soul. Express what you fear will remain unspoken, and through that, you will unravel the essence of your being." Tentatively, I opened my notebook, the blank pages staring back with excited expectation. I hesitated, feeling the weight of my emotions straining against the barriers I had erected. Yet an undeniable spark of determination flared within. It was time to welcome the stories that had been hidden for so long, and so, the ink began to flow. I wrote of joy, splashed with the colors of innocence. I wrote of loss, each word echoing like a heart pulsing in mourning. I wrote of moments where courage had escaped me, and of times when love had shone brightly, reminders of resilience that threaded through the tapestry of my life. With each sentence, I felt the chains of my silence weaken, unraveling in tandem with the emotions spilling onto the page. The man watched intently, his presence a stillness that encouraged me forward. "Turn your pain into an offering," he whispered gently. "Let it rise like incense into the heavens. Words can heal, but they can also connect. Through your truth, you resonate with humanity's collective heartbeat." Soon, it felt as if the circle itself was alive with stories, binding our spirits in a shared understanding of vulnerability and strength. Each breath became an act of communion with the earth and sky, a reclamation of all the stories I had thought too messy to share. I realized that what I had once perceived as the dark weight of sorrow was an integral thread of empathy. It was the bridge that connected my heart to others. Suddenly, the winds whispered again, teasing new inquiries through the leaves overhead. The man leaned closer, his voice resonating within the stillness. "What do you seek beyond this moment? What awaits you in the expanse of this journey, yet unseen?" Deeper questions unfurled, illuminating spaces of deep uncertainty I hadn't yet approached. Would my words indeed carry this weight of connection? How could I ensure they transformed individual experiences into a symphony of collective understanding? My heart raced as I contemplated the unknown potential ahead. Could my lived truths serve as the embers to ignite other spirits, just as they had begun to illuminate my own? As I tried to capture fleeting thoughts, the vision of the wonderful possibilities ahead sent ripples of excitement through me. Would I ever fully understand the expansive web of connection that transcended time and space? With the sun surrendering to the horizon and the moonlight beginning to grace the earth, I remained in that stone circle, continuing to write. The journey toward uncovering my voice, weaving my stories into a radiant tapestry, had only just begun. Invigorated, I pondered, what connections lie ahead, waiting to be forged through the power of shared experiences and the healing cadence of our common humanity. The dawn broke with a gentle glow, and the whispers of the night melded into a soft chorus welcoming a new day. As I emerged from the stone circle, I felt an inexplicable lightness, as if the weight of unspoken fears had dissipated like dew in the morning sun. The cool air invigorated my senses, filling me with a profound curiosity about what lay beyond the threshold of this new day. With my notebook still clutched in hand, I ventured deeper into the woods, propelled not by a destination but by the magnetic pull of exploration. Nature seemed imbued with a different energy now. The sunlight danced through the leaves, casting playful shadows that twirled across the forest floor, igniting a sense of wonder. I sought to immerse myself in this realm of possibility, where each step reverberated with the essence of new encounters. As I walked, I became acutely aware of the subtle changes around me. The distant call of a bird echoed like a clarion, and the sigh of the branches stirred a melody that felt intimately familiar. It was as though the very fabric of the woods resonated with my heart, drawing me inward and urging me to listen more closely. Then, just beyond a thicket, I stumbled upon a small, crystalline stream, its waters glistening like liquid silver as they danced over the rocks. Captivated by the sight, I knelt beside it, running my fingers gently through the cool water. The stream bubbled happily, and I realized that it too had its own story to tell, winding its way through obstacles, shaping the landscape while remaining true to its essence. Every story matters, I murmured to myself, recalling the words gifted to me by the man in the stone circle. My heart surged with gratitude as I understood that this journey was about weaving the stories of not just my own life but the lives of others intertwined in the flow of existence. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught my eye, and I turned to see a figure emerging from the nearby woods. She was a woman adorned in a flowing gown, her hair cascading like waves of sunlight. Her presence radiated warmth and serenity. It felt like she was part of the very essence of the forest. She spoke, tilting her head slightly as she approached the stream. The water knows all that we tell it. Her voice was soothing, and I felt compelled to listen intently. Do you believe that? I asked, curious about her insight. With a knowing smile, she knelt beside me, letting her fingers skim across the surface of the water. This stream carries the prayers of the earth. Each drop holds the stories of those who have come before us, blending their experiences into this very moment. The revelation lingered in the air, mingling with the shifting currents of the stream. What does it mean to carry the prayers of the earth? I pondered aloud. Every word spoken, every thought released into the world creates ripples, she replied. Our voices are masked by the chaos of life, yet deep within, they hold immense power. To unlock it is to recognize our shared humanity, the yearnings, the pains, the hopes. Just like this stream, we all flow toward a greater understanding. A wave of enlightenment washed over me as I considered her wisdom. My journey was not simply about self-expression but about connecting with this universal flow of life, resonating with others through the truth of my narrative. What could this newfound consciousness mean for my bond with the world around me? But how could I become one with this stream of voices? I asked, eager for guidance. She met my gaze. Seek stillness within. Allow yourself to listen without judgment. The answers often lie in the quietest moments. As the stream finds its way through rocks and roots, so too must you navigate your path with grace and authenticity. Her words ignited a fire in my heart. I reflected on the many voices that interwove into the fabric of my existence. How many were still left unheard, waiting for someone brave enough to speak them? What might the world look like if we all shared our truths, our vulnerabilities? In that moment, I realized the depth of my spiritual inquiry had shifted. The questions I had carried were evolving, expanding into a quest for unity, a calling to participate in the symphony of life that demanded harmony through our interconnected souls. As the sunlight danced over the stream, I felt inspired to continue writing, to give life to the stories swirling in my thoughts. The power of collective experiences awakened a profound sense of responsibility within me. Could I tap into this stream and amplify the voices of those who felt unheard? As I rose from the water's edge, filled with determination, I turned to the woman who had shared her wisdom. Yet she seemed to merge with the forest, becoming a part of the very essence of nature, a fleeting reminder of the enigmatic connections that existed everywhere, waiting to be recognized. That I carried her essence as I pondered my next steps. Could I indeed share and elevate those unheard voices through my writing? The question lingered with me, beckoning exploration. What transformative journeys awaited those who dared to dive deep into the collective narrative? Embracing the powerful prayer of our shared stories was only the beginning. With each step away from the stream, I felt a magnetic pull deeper into the heart of the woods, where shadows danced and secrets whispered beneath the canopy. My mind bubbled with the reflections of my encounter, propelled forward by a desire to pursue something greater. The questions swirled like leaves caught in the wind. How could these stories intertwine, and which paths would they lead me down? The tranquility of the forest felt alive, vibrating with energy that welcomed me into its embrace. Birds celebrated the morning with jubilant songs, their tunes weaving a tapestry of sound that seemed to echo the unspoken stories of the world around me. Did the creatures of this forest understand this connection? Did they too feel the weight of an unshared truth? With each passing moment, I became more attuned to nature's rhythm. The rustle of leaves transformed into a language of synchronicity, revealing a profound interplay between the seen and unseen. The very ground beneath me felt alive and responsive, as if the earth was urging me to delve deeper into my spirit's quest. After what felt like hours of wandering, I found myself in a small clearing where sunlight poured in freely, illuminating a patch of wildflowers that swayed gently, their vibrant colors offering a stark contrast against the verdant backdrop. It was here that I noticed a stone altar at the edge of the glen, weathered by time yet exuding an undeniable sturdiness. Curiosity stirred within me with every step. As I approached, I knelt down and placed my hands upon the cool stones. Almost immediately, a surge of emotion flooded through me, knowing that this altar had witnessed countless moments of reverence and reflection. I closed my eyes, allowing the stillness to envelop me like a warm blanket, inviting visions to flicker in my mind. Colors bloomed with intensity, blurring the lines between reality and dreams. I saw people from different walks of life, faces illuminated with laughter and pain, joy and sorrow. Their stories pressed in on me, whispering timeless truths that resonated within my soul. It felt as if they were calling for recognition, urging me to carry their narratives forward. What if all those untold stories were fragments of an immense puzzle, waiting for someone to piece them together? A shiver of understanding washed over me. I was not merely a solitary writer but a vessel for the collective human experience. Daring to voice this revelation, I whispered into the stillness, I open myself to the stories that wish to be told. May I be a channel for those who have yet to find their voice. The words hung in the air, pregnant with intention, and I felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere around me, as though an invisible door had creaked open, inviting a flood of wisdom. Without warning, the ground trembled slightly, sending a delightful rush of energy through my fingertips. I glanced up, startled, as a majestic deer emerged from the trees at the fringes of the clearing, its eyes shimmering with an intelligence that captivated my spirit. Time seemed suspended as it stepped gracefully toward me, the very embodiment of tranquility and power. With a gentle bow of its head, the deer surveyed me as if sifting through my thoughts. I felt an unspeakable connection as memories surfaced, family stories, joys and regrets shared by my ancestors, and hopes passed down like sacred heirlooms. The deer lingered, urging me to contemplate the lineage of my own narrative within the grand tapestry of existence. Could it be that through honoring the past, I could unlock a deeper understanding of the present? The realization sunk in. The path I walked was a convergence of countless threads, anchored by the shared lives of those who came before. I was not alone, I was part of a legacy, a collective heartbeat echoing through time. As the deer retreated back into the underbrush, I felt compelled to rise and seek my pen. Glancing back at the altar that shimmered in the sunlight, a silent witness of my awakening, I grasped a profound truth. My writing was no longer merely an act of personal exploration, it was an invitation to the world, a clemency to the voices entwined in my own. But alongside that invitation came an urgent question that burned within: how do I honor and weave the rich narratives of others into my own? As I stood amidst the wildflowers swaying in the breeze, I felt an undeniable assurance that this journey was just beginning. The forest rustled in agreement, and I wondered what awaited me next on this winding road of inquiry. Would the stories of those who inhabit the climes of my thoughts reveal themselves in future encounters? And how might sharing these stories forge connections that bridged the gaps between us all? The mysteries of the unseen hinted at immense possibilities yet to unfold, compelling me to navigate forward with an open heart and listening spirit. The forest embraced me with a hushed reverence as I continued my journey, the sunlight dancing through the leaves in dazzling patterns that made the path both inviting and mysterious. Every step felt like an awakening, propelling me deeper into a world where every rustle and chirp clung to ancient wisdom. I found myself pondering the very essence of prayer, and how it could serve as both a bridge and a beacon. Each thought I had was punctuated by the gentle presence of nature. A butterfly fluttered past, its vibrant wings seemingly beckoning me to follow. I couldn't help but smile. This little creature, so delicate and elusive, embodied the grace of transformation. Where was it guiding me? What lessons fluttered amidst the air, waiting to be absorbed? In this moment of curious exploration, I remembered the psalm I had recited often in moments of quiet desperation. Psalm 91 had offered me comfort during the storms of my life, a reminder of protection and refuge. I felt a profound yearning to understand it more deeply. What if the verses were not just a shield against adversity, but a sacred call to connect with something far bigger than myself? As I followed the butterfly, my surroundings shifted. The trees grew denser, their trunks spiraling upward like ancient pillars of wisdom. I stumbled upon another clearing, this one infused with an ethereal light. At its center stood a gnarled tree, its roots sprawling out like open hands, reaching for the earth. Before this towering guardian, I paused, feeling its spirit resonate with my own. I knelt before the tree, tracing its rough bark with my fingers, and felt a pulse of energy surge through me. It was as if the tree held the narratives of millennia, vast archive of prayers, hopes, and dreams woven within its rings. I closed my eyes, surrendering to the moment. The breeze whispered secrets, and I sensed that with each inhale, I could absorb the prayers of those who had come before me. Teach me, I murmured, how to embody this powerful connection. It was in that whisper that the world around me shifted. Visions emerged from the depths of my consciousness, people gathered beneath trees much like this one, their eyes filled with conviction as they poured their aspirations into the earth. I could almost hear the rustling of their prayers, their voices rising like smoke, intertwining with the very fabric of existence. As I visualized these moments, a curious thought struck me. What if the act of writing itself was a form of prayer? A powerful proclamation of vulnerability, sharing our innermost truths and yearning for understanding? I opened my eyes, considering how each word I penned could be an echo of supplication, a way to resonate with the silent cries of those that came before and those beside me. The tree stood sentinel, a witness to my realizations, and as I embraced this newfound understanding, I felt a surge of compassion for both my own struggles and those universal stories that had shaped humanity over the ages. There was pain and suffering, joy and elation, interwoven like the roots of the mighty tree. I rose, invigorated by the knowledge that my journey wasn't merely personal, it was an offering to the larger narrative of existence. But one question lingered, pulling at the edges of my mind: how do I honor these stories in a way that uplifts and connects rather than appropriates or distorts? I stood before the tree, feeling the weight of responsibility to share, to translate the energy of those untold prayers into words that would resonate with countless souls. As I turned to leave, I cast one more glance at the great tree, a lingering wish in my heart to return and continue to listen. The forest pulsed with life, urging me onward, and beneath the shimmering canopy, I felt the promise of further revelations awaiting me. With each stride, I wondered how I could weave my reality into the collective narrative as I sought inspiration from the natural world and its inhabitants. What unseen bonds were still to be broken free in my quest for understanding? What prayers would I discover nestled in forgotten corners of my journey? The path beckoned before me, and I ventured forth, my spirit alive with curiosity, ready to receive what was to come. The day unfolded like an intricate tapestry, woven with threads of light and shadow, as I walked the winding paths of the forest. Each step felt lighter, each breath deeper, as if the air had conspired to fill my being with renewed vitality. In my heart, the echoes of every encounter and every prayer began swirling into a harmonious melody that resonated with purpose. I was no longer just a seeker, I was awakening. As I continued, the foliage thickened, transforming into a lush green cathedral that embraced me wholly. Rays of sunlight pierced through the canopy, falling like blessings upon my path. I began to understand that each element of this journey was a reflection of my inner landscape. The questions that once weighed heavily on my spirit were now shimmering glimmers of possibility. The forest whispered secrets of resilience, and I felt something stirring, a calling to embrace the potent alchemy of transformation. I longed for a deeper communion with the Divinetto, dwell in that secret place of refuge I had found in Psalm 91. I approached a small, tranquil glade, where a brook gurgled softly, a living hymn that seemed to beckon me closer. Kneeling by the water, I watched my reflection ripple across the surface. The image was no longer just me, it was the essence of every story and every prayer woven into my Bainar, remnant of every encounter that had stirred my heart. Teach me, I whispered to the brook, surrendering to the wisdom it guarded. Show me how to transform my pain into something beautiful. In that moment, the water danced in response, flowing effortlessly around the stones that lined its banks. The brook revealed an undeniable truth: transformation comes not from resistance but from embracing the currents of life, welcoming the trials and turmoil as part of the sacred journey. Just as the stones shaped the waters, so too did my experiences shape my spirit. I felt the rush of understanding flood through me, pain, the heartache, the joy, they all belong. An image flashed in my mind, one of me standing boldly in front of an audience, sharing my stories and resonating with others who sought solace in their own unheard truths. Its vividness startled me. It felt like a call beyond the confines of my comfort zone, a whisper inviting me to step fully into my role as a storyteller, a healer of the collective wound we bore together. As thoughts danced in my head, I reached for my notebook, a vessel for those untold stories that waited to be captured. Just then, a presence beside me jostled my focus. A magnificent owl perched silently on a nearby branch, its eyes gleaming with ancient wisdom and insight. It seemed to hold the very essence of knowledge shared over generations. I paused and felt a deep connect. Iona calling from another realm, what do you seek? Its gaze seemed to inquire, inviting me to unlock hidden depths within. I seek to honor the stories of those who came before me, I replied instinctively. To transform our pain into a bridge of understanding that connects us all. The owl blinked slowly, wise and knowing. How profoundly I understood its silent encouragement. It was a reminder that the stories I carried were fragments of a vast tapestry woven from the lives of many. Every experience painted the layers of our existence, each word etched into the fabric of time. This is your gift, the owl's deep presence seemed to affirm, igniting a fire within my spirit. With renewed clarity, I realized that breaking free from the bonds of my unseen fears meant embracing the weight of those stories, allowing them to unfurl their teachings. They were not mere relics of suffering but beacons of hope and resilience. They held the potential to transcend individual experiences and connect with the hearts of others who may silently carry similar burdens. Inspired by this realization, I wrote furiously, letting the ink spill across the pages like the brook that flowed steadily beside me. A sense of urgency bore me aloft. I sought to weave together my journey with the tapestries of countless souls yearning to be heard. As I wrote, I spoke not just for myself but for every voice echoing through the tribes of humanity, those who felt unseen or unheard. When I finally set the pen down, the sun had begun its descent, casting a golden hue over the glade. I stood slowly, feeling transformed by the act of creation. Understanding blossomed within, every word was infused with love and connection, bridging the sacred divide between us. I was not just a solitary figure in this vast expanse, I was part of a living narrative, echoing the prayers of those before me and those yet to come. As I stepped away from the brook, I felt a profound sense of closure emerging, a culmination of my journey. I had ventured through darkness and shadows, emerged into light, and connected deeply with my own heart and those of many others. The journey was ceaseless, an eternal spiral that shaped and reshaped the self. In accepting the unfolding nature of my experience, I felt an overwhelming peace wash over me. I was at one with the stories that coursed through me, the joys and sorrows that painted the landscape of my spirit. And as the stars began to twinkle against the deepening purple hue of the evening sky, I realized that life itself was a prayer, a sacred expression of becoming, an invitation to embrace every fragment that formed our existence. May my words be the wings that carry these sacred stories, I whispered to the universe, allowing my heart to embrace the truth that had finally ignited within me. And in that quiet moment, beneath the vast canopy of stars, I understood, our stories, the threads of our past bind us together, weaving a fabric of shared humanity that transcends time and distance. Embracing this truth, I felt the final remnants of the bonds that had once constrained me melting away, revealing the boundless potential that lay within. I realized that, in sharing our narratives, we not only break free from unseen bonds but also awaken the world to the beauty that lies in collective healing, for it is in the telling that the heart finds freedom, and in the listening, we discover the profound connection of our beings.